Today we're going to talk about what to do in your online coaching and or course business if you are feeling behind, right? Especially if you're relatively new in your business and you maybe are seeing others make faster progress than you are, or you're seeing how much there is to do or how far ahead of you the leaders in your industry are, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind. We're going to talk about what to do, how to really reframe that, and what to do instead to make sure that you actually do grow your business faster with tangible examples that I've got for you today. All right, so let's jump right into it. The first thing that we need to talk through if you're feeling behind is the way to reframe this thinking. Because the truth is, everybody feels behind, no matter where you are in your business, right? When you're starting out, you're seeing all the things that you need to do. Set up your website, maybe build up an email funnel down the road, get clients, right? Create all this content. You're seeing probably other leaders in your industry who have massive amounts of content, followers, and you're just starting from scratch and you're thinking, I have to build all of that. Of course you're gonna feel behind, right? You have to create all your foundational assets and then your periodic content. Or if you are a little bit further ahead, then maybe whatever project you're working on, whether it's a new product, whether it's an upcoming launch, whether it's an upcoming funnel, whether it's whatever it is, right? Systematizing some part of your business, you're still gonna feel behind. I can tell you, this just reminded me of a story a few years ago when at that point I already had a multiple seven-figure business, right? I was on a call with some students in my group program and I was saying, guys, I'm really sorry. I was gonna create this bonus piece of content for you and I still haven't done it yet because I'm really behind, right? I can't even remember what I was doing, but I mean, this was a few years. I believe, maybe 3-4 years in my business, having a good team, having a good amount of revenue, all of that, lots of assets and content and an audience already, but I still feel behind. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because I want you to really absorb that no matter where you are, this is a feeling that does not go away. And that's a good thing because when it comes to building a business, there's continual room for growth. You hit one level and then you realize there's way more, right? You're at 0, you get your next client. Oh, wow, I can get my next 2, 3, 4, 5. I can get consistent $5,000, $10,000 months. I can build a 6, 7, multiple 7-figure business. There's always more to be growing to. And that is really, really key. Once you realize that, what you reframe to is it's no longer a finite, like, okay, I need to get to this point and then I get to this point and then I'm done. It's a process. It's really an infinite process where you're just going to continue to move along. And once you think that, what that allows you to do, and this is really key, is to realize, okay, where am I along the process and what are the only things that I need to be focusing on right now that are going to move me forward in the process, right? So this is a really key reframe. I'm going to talk it through in a slightly different way to really make sure that you understand this because I can't emphasize this enough. At this point, I've worked with thousands of students and clients. This is one of the most harmful ways of thinking you're behind that holds so many people back from making the progress that you want to make in your business because you're so busy thinking I'm behind, then you get into this scramble mode or desperate mode and then it keeps you stuck. So that's why this is so important. And so if you reframe it to the way I just shared through with you, where it's an infinite process and all you need to focus on, right, is where am I right now and what do I need to master to move into the next step of this infinite process versus like, I need to get to this point and then I'm done. No, you're not going to be done, right? You're going to be at 6 figures. You're like, this is awesome. I want to continue making 6 figures or I want to make multiple 6 figures, whatever that next step is for you. So I'm saying there is no done or not behind, right? So when you reframe it to this way, this also focuses or forces you to focus on exactly what you need to be doing at this time. Because the other side, the other piece of this that I see so often is that when someone is so focused on not being behind, You try and do too many things at once. So let's say you're starting out and you're like, okay, I'm so behind. All right, let me create this amazing pop-up. Let me look at so-and-so's website, right? So this leader in my industry, whatever industry you're in, they have this amazing pop-up. I'm gonna create it like them. Or I'm gonna, not copy it, but like create a pop-up just like they have this amazing pop-up. I'm gonna create this amazing series of blog posts just like so-and-so has. And then I'm gonna create this epic email funnel and so on and so forth. And what you can easily forget is that so-and-so, whomever you're thinking about, has most likely been doing it for a lot longer than you have, right? And so in that case, they've built it up over time in a way that you haven't seen because you're just now learning about them. And what that distracts you from is what you need to be focusing on at that point in your business versus trying to be at wherever that person is at that point in their business. To get even more specific, especially for people who are newer and starting out, trying to do all those fancy things, guess what? It distracts from. It distracts from you getting your first or your next paying client, which does not rely on how fancy your website is or how fancy your pop-up is or how sophisticated your email marketing system is, right? There's a time and place for that, but not at the beginning of your business. Same thing, even more advanced in your business. I'm just going to give you an example so that even if you are starting out in your business, you can see this applies no matter what stage you're in. I've got a client I'm working with right now, a coaching client, and she is working on building her online business. She has an offline business that she wants to kind of back away from and replace with this online business. And so she has an online course created for her online business. She teaches public speaking and how to build your confidence around it. And so what she has been so focused on is comparing to people who are doing multiple 7 figures, right? To me a little bit as well, not in a negative way, but just saying, thinking, okay, that's the stuff that Louisa, that these other people are doing, that's what I should be doing. And so she's been obsessed about like creating this massive launch to launch her online course. And I had to repeat to her several times over a good amount of time and share, hey, that's what I and my colleagues are doing at this point where we've already got a proven sales process, launch process, maybe affiliates, maybe a paid traffic strategy, a pretty large existing audience, a ton of testimonials, a massive support team in place, lots of assets already created for this launch. It's like, it's a system. Whereas for where you are right now, that's not the stuff that you're behind on. What you need to be focusing on is how to even create a system that can consistently generate sales of your course, right? That can give someone who's new to you the content that they need to decide if this course is for them or not. And if it is, to make the investment before you even worry about scaling it and scaling it with partners and scaling it in a really big way. And so for her, we're not even focusing on a really massive launch. We're focusing on creating a hybrid evergreen course funnel first to consistently systematize her sales process, know her numbers before we even think about scaling, right? So again, what I want to show you is that being behind is not something that goes away once you hit a certain point in your business. What you need to be thinking about is, okay, where am I now, knowing that I'm going to be growing my business for forever, right? Or however long you want to. And what point am I at, and what do I need to focus on because I'm at this point? That is so key. And once you identify that, guess what that allows you to do? That actually allows you to make faster progress. And so, we've been talking about the reframe this whole time, but whenever you're starting to think, hey, I'm feeling behind, because it happens to everybody, even after you've watched this video, it's going to happen. It's just kind of human nature, right? How we're kind of taught to think in our society. What you want to be, every time you're thinking that, you want to be reframing that to, what lesson do I need to be learning right now? What do I need to be doing right now? So really 2 questions, right? And they go hand in hand. I'm going to give you a few examples myself of my own journey is what I mean. So when I was starting out in my first online business. I was doing digital advertising consulting. And that's because that's what the skills I had from my job. And so I struggled with everything. Everything under the sun, you name it, I struggled with it. So I was a huge introvert. I did not feel comfortable doing live streams or videos, right? I was not great at creating content. It would take me like 2 hours to write one like 300 to 400 word email, if even. It's same thing for my social media posts, right? The way I wrote was really robotic. It didn't sound like me because I wrote in the way that we're taught to speak in corporate, which is like really professional and kind of not with your own voice. Let me just put it that way. And I didn't know a ton about marketing. I knew nothing about sales. I didn't feel comfortable selling myself because I was taught that, you should let your work speak for yourself. You shouldn't be self-promo-y, all of that. And so I struggled, anything, you name it, I struggled with it. And so if I had tried to focus on everything at the beginning of my business, or in the first, I would say year or two of my business, right? I would have been incredibly overwhelmed and I would most likely have given up. So instead, what I did was I followed what I just shared with you. Like I always walk my own talk. What I share with you is the result of what I've tested and proven with myself. And at this point, thousands of students and clients. And so let me give you an example of when it came time, like I got my first few clients, I was like, all right, I need to start creating more content more consistently, right? And if it's taking me 2-3 hours to write one email, one really short email that's not even that good, this is a bottleneck because this is what I need to be doing. Right now, at that point in time, what I needed to be doing was creating more content to share with the people in my audience so that I knew what I was talking about. They started connecting more with me and wanted to learn more about how they could work with me. And so that's what I did at the time. I said, okay, I feel really behind. I need to create all this content. I'm sitting here for 2-3 hours. I need to go to work. It's, 1 a.m. in the morning. I can't be doing this all the time. So I reframed it to, all right, what is the lesson I need to be learning? And the lesson I needed to be learning at the time that I realized was, okay, I need to learn how to get faster and better at creating consistent content. And so I really obsessed about it and focused on that alone. And what I realized was, all right, this is a skill, just like anything else related to building your business. It's all skills that you can absolutely build. It's not something that you're born with or not, right? And if I really work on the skill of creating good content quickly, this is going to make a massive difference in my business for the long term and for where I am right now. And so it wasn't easy, but once I realized that was the lesson and I sat down and had to think about it, it wasn't immediately obvious, right? Then what I did was I looked for proof that people can create content quickly. So I would Google people who create content really quickly. And I mean, if you're looking for proof of that yourself, what you see is proof of that, right? You can tell I record the majority of my YouTube videos nowadays one cut through. There's no script. It's me talking because I know my stuff. I've been practicing via weekly, multiple times a week, live streams and videos and emails and posts for years now. And so I'm able to create my content really quickly. Now, I was looking for proof that it was possible, and then I had to figure out, all right, what's going to work for me to create that content quickly. So in the beginning, I set a timer because that's always been helpful for me. I set a timer. I said, okay, I'm going to cut this down to 1 hour, from 2-3 hours to 1 hour. I'm going to set a timer. I'm only going to give myself 1 hour to create this content, and then after that, I'm just going to press send or publish or whatever, and that's all I have. Guess what? Once you put that timer on yourself, it makes a massive difference. And I mean, you can really do this for anything. Setting up an email funnel, finishing a webinar down the road, finishing your website, whatever it is. Setting a time that feels a little bit of a push, but that is doable, right? And so I did that. So I did that for a few weeks. Then I cut it down to 40 minutes and then 30 minutes. And that created the skill that allowed me to create really great content quickly and not overthink it. And that's why now I can sit in front of a camera, record some really valuable content for you and not have to stress about it, right? It's not a big deal. It's great content. We're having fun. I hope you're enjoying watching this. I'm really enjoying sharing it with you. There's no script. I just talk from what I know and from years of practice. And a part of this also is experience. So don't worry about that for yourself as well. That's gonna come too. Just know that it's gonna be a combination of time, experience, working with clients, creating content, whatever it is that you're doing and needing to build, that skill that you need to build, and also you focusing on that skill at that time, right? So it's the same thing. Let me give you another example. Earlier on in my business, before this point that we just talked about, I realized I have no clue how to sell. At that point, the clients I'd gotten were basically because they knew me or because I had given so much value for a few weeks that they were like, look, I know you know what you're talking about. We don't need to have a sales conversation. How can I hire you? And so I knew, look, if I want to be able to make more sales, I need to really work on my sales process. So at that point, I didn't try and focus on anything else. I wasn't trying to focus on this content creation example that I just shared with you. I wasn't trying to build a fancy funnel or a webinar or anything. I was focused on, okay, I know how to get sales calls. And before that, I was focused on, okay, how do I get sales calls? So you can see this different points for everything. How do I really do sales calls? Right? So I actually hired a sales coach to help me specifically with that, and then practiced on my sales calls, improved, got feedback, and went from there. So at each point, I really only focused on that lesson that I needed to learn at that time. And it's true, again, no matter where you are. I gave you earlier examples of a client I had like in the beginning, or I think I gave my own example in the beginning of my business, or possibly a client's now, I can't remember. And also a client who is a lot further on in their business, but it doesn't matter where you are. There's always more to be learning. Even if you're at multiple six, seven figures, there's always more room to grow and get better at something, right? And it never ends. And that's the fun of it. Otherwise you'd be bored. You could be in a job. And so because of that, at each point, you want to simply be shifting that I'm so behind thinking to, all right, what do I need to be doing right now? And what is the lesson that I need to be learning? And that's basically what I've walked you through on this video with a lot of examples, how to really think through that, how to identify it, and really how to figure that out for yourself so that you can shift that focus. And doing that will help you grow your business faster. So hopefully you found this super helpful. If you have, I'd love for you to leave me a comment and let me know what your biggest takeaway is, because this is a really powerful and important reframe. Like I shared at the beginning, or somewhere near the beginning of this video, this is one of the most harmful thoughts that I see hold so many of my students and clients in the beginning of their businesses back until we completely switch this around. Okay, so that's why I wanted to share this with you today. And if you found this helpful, I've got two other things for you today. The first is another really powerful, useful video on how to identify a core foundational piece of your business that is way more important and powerful than just passion, right? Not dissing passion, that's important, but this is gonna be more impactful for your business, help drive way more sales. And I share in that video how to implement it in your business as well and use it. So that video is somewhere either on the screen and or linked in the comments or description below. So make sure you check that out. I also have a really great PDF for you on the blueprint for building a six-figure online coaching business before you leave your job, right? You don't have to get to six figures before you leave your job, wherever you need to get to. Anywhere from a few thousand to six figures, I've done it. I've helped clients do all the ranges. So the blueprint works. You get to customize it for yourself, as well as the top 3 mistakes to avoid that I see really pretty much all new coaches making in their businesses to make sure that you don't make them, you just avoid them completely, right? So that's what I've got for you. If you found this really helpful and you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit subscribe to be notified every week when I release a new video on building your own online coaching and or course business to go from employee to entrepreneur. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you next time.